You're looking at 5 running back situations that I venture to say a lot of people, majority of people have question marks about, maybe to the point where they aren't drafting these running backs at their ADP. McCaffrey, Pacheco, Breece Hall, the Etienne and Bigsby situation, the Walker Charbonnet situation. Which one are you investing in? Are you avoiding all 5 running back situations? We're breaking it down here on the Fantasy Football Show. Second chance running backs. We'll do a wide receiver version, a quarterback version, a tight end version. This is the running back version, and it begins right now. Let's start off with Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey is suffering from chronic bilateral Achilles tendonitis. What is that, you might ask? Didn't he get it cured overseas with this experimental surgery, stem cell surgery? Smitty, I heard he's going to be ready for week 1. Well, what did you hear last offseason? You heard he was healthy. You heard he had a tiny itty-bitty calf injury, and that was chronic bilateral Achilles tendonitis. The Achilles tendon is not like the ACL or any other situation where you need the thing to snap in half. It could be, it's a freak occurrence. The Achilles tendon is more about wear and tear. Think of a rope. A rope is made up of a bunch of different ropes and strings all woven together. And if you've ever looked at a rope, you could cut 2 or 3 of the strings, it would still hold. You could cut a couple of more of them. They're all just tiny ropes woven together. That's your Achilles tendon. Slowly but surely, each little strand is going to break off until it becomes an integrity problem, and then it just snaps. You could probably there's experimental surgeries, there's experimental procedures, there's stem cell stuff to repair and help get your Achilles tendon healthier, but he has both Achilles tendons, bilateral Achilles tendonitis. This is not the tendonitis you had as a kid growing up where you ran too much, you got shin splints and it radiated down to your legs and you started to get tendonitis. It was very temporary. This is wear and tear. This is over a long career of being the highest percentage of usage of his offense than any player in the National Football League. This man has been used and abused, and he's at his end. I'm not saying he can't look good for a month. I'm not saying that the experimental surgery or procedure that he had done overseas doesn't buy him some time. But if you think he can get the kind of production that Christian McCaffrey is known for producing while staying healthy with chronic bilateral Achilles tendonitis, I got a bridge to sell you. This guy is not somebody I'm touching in the second round, especially at that middle or top of round 2 territory. Now, Breece Hall's falling into round 3. Kyron's in round 3. Bucky's at the 2-3 turn now. He's climbed up. He was in the 3rd round all offseason. If you say, Smitty, you just listed off first-round running backs. No, I didn't. The ADP will show you. The ADP tells you this is something that's the wide receivers. This is something that is been head-scratching all offseason for us here on the channel. Those that follow my show and come here every day know that we stay on top of ADP, and it's an enigma that Bucky's been falling into round 3. He's now at the 24, 25 bookend, 2nd, 3rd round turn. So deservedly so, but kind of a shame that he's climbed because he was in the middle of round 3. Breece Hall is at 26 overall. You've got Kyron at 33 overall. And dare I say that, especially on Underdog, which, if you want to play Underdog, code Smitty, that'll get you a 50% match on your first deposit all the way to up to $1,000. Make sure you're drafting. You can draft right now on Underdog. Go do it. Go draft right now. Take advantage of all of these values because they won't last forever. But if we're looking at these values and we say Kyron, at 33, Breece Hall at 26, Chase Brown at 31, these are 3rd round running backs. Why not go wide receiver instead of Christian McCaffrey? Or if you go wide receiver in round 1, you could go running back, take another running back. Take Bucky a little early if you've got to reach. I'd rather reach on Bucky than draft Christian McCaffrey, who's going to be a big risk to you all year. If you do take him, make sure you cuff him. But if you do take him, you got to draft him in a league where you can afford to cuff 3 players together. You got to have Mason and Garendo and Christian McCaffrey. And if you can't do that, I don't want to hear you complain about you can't do. If you can't do that in your league, don't draft McCaffrey in that league. And on top of that, there's rumors that they're going to draft a running back. There was a rumor the other day that the Niners need a running back badly. And we might be like, what in the hell are they talking about? But that's the vibe. If they go draft Cam Scatterbo, or if Genti falls to 11, good God, this is the type of team that does stuff like that. You're going to be screwed, and hopefully you draft your redraft league your draft will be before or after the NFL draft, so you'll know all that. But this is not something that I'm messing with at all. And I'm going to tell you the same thing. Avoid Christian McCaffrey. In best ball, where you can do a $3 draft fight, do I think you should have a couple shares of McCaffrey? Sure. That's a $3 draft. That's why best ball is so amazing. You could do a $3, $5, get your fix of a couple players that you don't necessarily want to draft in your home league when the stakes are high. It's, you do 2 or 3, redraft leagues with your buddies in your work league or whatever. You don't want to use McCaffrey in that league. Use him in best ball. Get your fix there. Overdraft your Derrick Henrys or Christian McCaffreys, the risky players that you want to own in a couple leagues. Do that in best ball where the stakes are higher, but the risk is lower because you're doing a $3 draft. So I'm going to go ahead and say Smitty disapproved. Don't go near Christian McCaffrey this year. Not at his ADP. His ADP is just too high. It's above 19. I cut it off right at that point to give you a sense of what running backs were going below him. He is the running back above JT. He's going as number 14 overall. Number 14 overall. No, thank you.
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
Pacheco is a total risk. He never even bounced back. So, what are we doing? What are we even talking about with Pacheco? There's no value here. Stay clear away from Pacheco. I want nothing to do with him. He's not even going high anyway, but I still don't want to draft him. Kareem Hunt, might be brought back to be the guy. Who knows? Or they draft somebody. Pacheco just doesn't look the same, hasn't all year. And even if he comes back and they say, okay, he's actually healthy, is he going to keep the job in an environment where they rotate their running backs from year to year? They always have. They since the Larry Johnson days or the Kareem Hunt days when he was first in KC, they haven't had a consistent run game. And they never stick to the guy the next year. You look at even back when McKinnon did amazing, and then they go into the week one and do something completely different. They did the same thing with Damian Williams. They play him in the Super Bowl and the playoffs, and then week one would come, everybody would get excited, they wouldn't use him. So Casey's notorious for not sticking to one running back, and he's a very injury-prone running back. We're 2 for 2 on Smitty disapproved.
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
This right here, Breece Hall. I mean, as I just kind of almost already spoiled, his ADP is ridiculous. It's climbing a little bit. Let me get the running backs. It's climbing a little bit, but not that much. His ADP right here, 26 overall. Fan-mother-freaking-tastic. If you can get this guy, even if you went hero RB from round 3, which you can do, that's phenomenal. Especially if he's going at near the 2-3 turn. If you go Jamar Chase, let's say, at 1 or 2 overall, you get JJ at 4 overall, whatever, and then you come back around and you get, let's even just say you want to go early quarterback. Not everybody likes to, but you go Josh Allen and then you go Breece Hall. You got Jamar Chase, Josh Allen, Breece Hall. This is a phenomenal start. I don't care what anybody says. Or, you could go double RB. You could go Jamar Chase, Bucky, and Breece Hall. You could do 100 different things. Brock Bowers goes sometimes in the middle of round 2. I've seen him fall to the end of round 2. You could go Brock Bowers. Or if you have a JJ pick at 5 and you take Brock Bowers and then you take Breece Hall, Bucky, or Kyron in the third round, that's a phenomenal start. But the thing about Breece Hall is you're going to have a lot of people say, he failed, he didn't get utilized properly. I don't know if I trust him. And I get that. I understand that. But I will say that you almost got to look at this from a totally different perspective. The example I like to give people is a lot of the negativity on, I won't draft Breece Hall. I'm not going near him. I'm not going to take that chance again. It's coming from the same perspective. You're imagining that he has to produce top 5 running back numbers, which he totally could. But when you evaluate whether you're going to take him or not, you got to look at his cost of entry. Third round value versus top 5 value. When you walk away from Breece Hall with the same, I don't think he's going to produce top 5 running back numbers mentality, you're not taking him even in the top 15. You're taking him at the top of round 3, middle round 3. And even if he produces exactly what he did last year, he earns that value. He is the definition of low risk, high reward. Probably one of the biggest low risk, high reward players in the draft through the first 3 or 4 rounds, because he can give you top 5 running back numbers. No, you don't need to count on it, and nor do you need it for even you to get your investment back. Your ROI, your return on investment, could still be tremendous if he plays like number 8, running back number 8. You don't need him to be not running back 5. If he's running back 5 from the 3rd round, you win your league. So, also, Aaron Glenn coming over is cleaning up everything. He's getting rid of Aaron Rodgers. He's probably getting rid of Devontae Adams. By the time you watch this, maybe he's gone. And they're going to get back to defense, Aaron Glenn defense, ground and pound. Run goes with the D. The D sets up the run. The run sets up the D. He's going to absolutely ground and pound, and it's going through Breece Hall. And maybe they draft another running back. I don't know. We'll have to play it by ear if something like that happens. But this is a running back that could benefit tremendously from Aaron Glenn's system. Of course, we're waiting for who they bring in at QB, but I'm not concerned. I think this is going to be a really, really good situation no matter what. I think that if they brought in a Justin Fields, he climbed into the middle of round 2. So in best ball, draft him now in anticipation that they bring in a good quarterback like Fields, or trade for Joe Milton. You can laugh at me all you want. Joe Milton's got a lot of talent, and I said that before the draft even began. And when the New England Patriots took Joe Milton, I was scratching my head why the Raiders didn't take a chance. And you can make fun of them all you want. I'm just saying these are options that could make this situation better. So if you could go into best ball right now and draft Breece Hall in the 3rd round in anticipation that he gets a good quarterback, you're going to make out like a bandit. And if it doesn't work out, guess what? You get what you paid for. He's going to earn you 3rd round value. But if in cases where you just, I'm going to wait, I'm awaiting William, and you wait until he gets a better situation, then he's going to cost you a mid-2nd round pick, which is still going to be worth it, but you're not going to take advantage at all of this 3rd round value. I don't think so. Smitty approves.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Okay, so with these 2 situations, they're very similar. I'm going to say that, look, you bring in Cohen, Liam Cohen, who just implemented the Bucky and Rachaad White running back situation over in Tampa, and you get Etienne and Bigsby into those roles, kind of, so to speak. And you might say, well, Liam Cohen, I don't know if he's going to be able to do the same thing. Does he have faith in these guys? Will he draft a running back? He could. I mean, they have a top 10 pick. Could they draft Genty? It's possible, and then we'll have to reevaluate. But right now, based on what he said in his first press conference, one of the first 2 things that came out of his mouth, well, I'll tell you, he said, BTJ, I think if you give him 10, targets a game, you can sleep good at night. Like, sweet. That's exactly what we wanted to hear. Mashed potatoes. Then what does he say? Then he says, and you get ETN 20 carries a game. You can sleep good at night when you do that. Mashed potatoes. And you're like, okay, but what about Bigsby? What if he says, or Bigsby 20 carries a game? Mashed potatoes. The point is this. He's going to lean on one of the running backs. He even talked about giving one of them 20 carries a game. I think it starts with ETN because he said ETN first. And I think the reason he said Bigsby was, well, if ETN gets hurt, I know some of you are going to question whether ETN can hold up. Then it just goes right over to Bigsby. Or he uses both running backs in a way that makes a lot of sense, with one of them being the Bucky Irving. Look, here's the biggest catch here, or this is the biggest advantage. Neither one of them is going in a elite or even semi-elite or solid value. They are both getting drafted at almost flex value. You could get both of them almost like they're both flexes. They're both handcuffs. They're handcuff values, and then you just put them together, and it makes some superhero potentially. This is one of the best values in fantasy. Dare I say, if you go hero RB, this is one of the best hero RB running back 2 options to put next to your hero running back. If you take one running back in the first 5 rounds, you come back and you get Etienne and Bigsby later, and they need to kind of get drafted back-to-back rounds, but they go so late, they're practically cuff values, each of them. And so it's no risk. It's 0 risk proposition right here. So you can get on board, or you can keep complaining about this or that and not consider the cost of entry eliminates your complaint. Or you can just watch us hold our beer, and we'll come back and, we'll say, hey, get us a coffee. Etienne and Bigsby did it live. They are both Smitty approved at this ADP. Good God.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Okay, now the final duo, kind of similar, except for Walker costs a lot more than the higher end part of this combo here. So this is harder to cuff, but still attractive to cuff, and especially best ball when you can, like I said, throw $3 and $5 drafts all over the place. And then code Smitty, link in description. But it's something that's not as cheaply had. I personally draft a lot of Charbonnet standalone in best ball, and I'm not saying I don't love the combo. I do draft it. But I love the idea of wherever Walker's going, getting a big-time player that I still strongly believe in, and then having Charbonnet in the wings. But I still believe in Walker. Walker could even get traded. I will Smitty approve the combo. I think don't draft the combo in like a ton of leagues. Don't oversaturate because of the ability for Walker to get hurt. So this is kind of a rarity that you would draft like 1 out of every like 7 or 10 drafts, maybe. So we'll call it 1 out of 10%. That's not a high saturation. That's not a high level of confidence, to have this duo in every league. Whereas like the Bigsby ETN, because they cost so little, each one of them is, like I said, almost a flex value or a handcuff value. They're both handcuffs. And you just draft them late. I could draft them in 50% of my leagues, and if they don't work out, I don't care. Doesn't affect me. I'm getting them so late. So different cost of entry, but I still very Smitty approve Walker and Charbs. Walker's a phenomenal beast, and he can be so good if he stays healthy. And they plan on focusing on the run. Kubiak comes from an amazing, bloodline, and he's gonna implement this run. They've talked about bringing a fullback in. They wanna ground and pound, much like they do in New York, and I think that's going to reflect in the stat column for these guys. And I think Charbs is the better fit. That's why I say Walker could get traded, but I still believe Walker is one of the most dynamic running backs in the National Football League. It's just always coming down to injury. So I Smitty approve this combo in the right amount of saturation.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Appreciate you. I'll see you all on the flip side. And don't forget, I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm also live additionally whenever news breaks. And don't forget to get on over and check out the Dynasty channel, which is youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. Link is in the description. You're watching the main channel. Don't forget to check out my website. Year-round fantasy football rankings, bold predictions, trade calculator. Your boy got into the business in 2003. 2003. Internet was barely up. And I developed the first instant-based front-facing trade calculator that I could find because no one had it. That's why I got into the industry and started creating content in 2003. And this website, all the content's been up since then. I've been producing content almost longer than anybody you could find when there was like 10, 11, 12 websites up for fantasy football content back in the day. There was no social media. It was all just basically your forum was your social media, your email marketing, and it was websites. It was all about traffic and rank and who could find you in a Google search. And so this is where it's at. It's been my bread and butter for 20 plus years, thefantasyfootballshow.com. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram, and every video is on Spotify. We were the first sport, I believe the very first sports video show, sports, not just fantasy, sports video show on Spotify. And in 2024, we were top 5% out of all, not just fantasy, not just sports, top 5% out of all video podcasts on Spotify. So make sure you go check that out. I will see you all at 8 p.m.